Hi, and welcome to our presentation about the product installations and applications for Bahamas and outlining islands and countries. If you have not watched the first presentation about our public-private partnership, I highly encourage you to look at that to explain why and how we're doing this, because this expands on that first presentation to show how it's actually installed and the applications and using some live examples. We're able to do this with our partnership with Current Water Technologies, Economic Development Canada, Lloyd's of London. The Complete Water System is our brand and trademark that has the design. We are a brokerage, so we actually find the best water technology, whether it's ours or others. We use great government financing and economic development at import-export insurance and Lloyd's of London to do all risk insurance for ongoing after the government's insurance runs out. We also have great partners with Saudi Brothers to do more complex projects and also some other great partners in the States. So the main applications of Pure Water Box and our Water Box system is for micro-utilities. This can be for resorts, an isolated area, developments, and remote locations. So you can make it so for some outer islands, some isolated areas to have their own water utilities rather than shipping it in bulk. This is ideal for disaster relief as well, mostly because normally when a disaster hits, it's too late. You can't order systems. So for flooding, pipeline damage, or pollutions, excess units can be leased out, rent out, or provided to, again, outer islands that need it or countries. Now we can do wastewater systems. We can do this for mining, construction, waste and contamination removal, and that's through our partners. Again, using our brokering styles, we get preferred pricing. We have the best financing, and no one can match us in our insurance solutions. So the example we're going to use is processing 300 cubic meters per day of seawater. This can be interchanged very easily with 500 cubic meters per day, even up to 1,000 cubic meters per day. With 1,000 cubic meters per day, it'll be a 40-foot sea container. For 500 cubic meters, probably a 40-foot sea container if it's going to be drinking water as well. The following is a presentation example of a partnership installation for a desalination plant for bulk water, and it was also being used for construction. Now, the interesting part is our suggestion of using the excess quotations wastewater was used for farming and agricultural, which became very lucrative, as well as using the excess drinking water for a micro bottling plant. But that's more for the private side. But in a lot of the situations, we always add value, our entrepreneurial side, and what's been happening and used on other continents or other installations. Again, the capacity is 300 cubic meters per day, producing potable drinking water with total dissolved solids of less than 500 parts per million, which is the recommendation of the World Health Organization. So all of our systems meet or exceed WHO standards, Canadian and US standards, which are the toughest in the world for water. The feed water source is a clean seawater from a seawater well with total dissolved solids of 36,000 parts per million, and we'll explain that a bit later on. But here's a test site that we do. There's generators here in the back. We've got water that actually comes in. We've got electricity. We've got actual water that comes out, water comes in, and excess wastewater as well. For this planting capacity of 300 cubic meters per day, we produced high quality potable drinking water at 70 cents US per cubic meter. Now, this varies depending on labor rates, mostly electricity rates, and the quality of water that comes in and out. But this is a good benchmark that you can actually use. The site is always prepared by local contractors, and they have power supply and connections pipes to water for our product. We love using local people with local jobs. That's why the minimum is 3 jobs per unit of a local contractor, a licensed plumber, and a licensed electrician. Normally a project manager as well, but we like to be conservative by saying 3 new jobs per system. If you're wanting to do more of a job creation, it can easily get up to 9 and 10 with these extra added value addeds that we can do per system. So lots of jobs, because we'd rather have local knowledge and local jobs, people who know it, than getting some foreigners in. So the stages. Water is forced through a pre-established filter in the sand, basically entering in, just like when you used to dig on a beach, how the water filled back up. That's one of the best sides because you're using the beach as a natural filtration, similar to what we do as well. Water enters through a pre-filtration. This removes small particles, bacteria, spores, or grains. You can also look at this if we're there long enough, which normally we are. We do a heavier aggregate to a smaller, then a heavier sand to a smaller sand as well. This actually saves the filtration, this saves the membranes, and it saves money in the long run, which we always want to pass on to our clients. The reverse osmosis works through pressure to force water through, and this allows the pure water to go through and the contaminants being trapped. We almost always use a double pass system to make the highest quality drinking water. So for the seaside resort, it's an example that we used with the complete water system box, a desalination plant for a seaside resort. Again, the capacity of this one was in a 20-foot sea container, 300 cubic meters, and always meeting or exceeding World Health Organizations for the water. Note, we always provide complimentary ideas for excess water, microbotting plants, use of wastewater for gardens, mini farming, especially around site. I've got an entrepreneurial mind. I'm a serial entrepreneur. So do our partners. We always try to find more value or more bang for the buck for you. So here's the performance. We had a 20-foot sea container that was actually going through to the actual unit. This installation was done. We needed a power supply. We had a gravel pit, laying area. We normally prefer a cement pad rather than a gravel pad. But you also need a brine disposal injection well as well for the wastewater, and also a spot to hold the actual water, which we work with the local contractors to do as well. So the arrival time, we normally always plan it to be the morning. We're morning. I was in the military for 18.5 years, so everything's always done in the morning. Then also if there's delays, it can always be done, and we hit our mark of having it installed the same day. The crane, we always request it to be set up the night before or first thing in the morning around 6 a.m. to make sure it's ready. The crane contractor, if you notice, this is a mobile crane. You'll see that in the next picture. But with this, these are heavy units, so forklifts can work, but they have to be a heavy-duty forklift. We always prefer a crane because we want to protect our investment. So as you can see, this is a mobile crane operation. It can be done on the back of a flatbed or driven there. And it's on site in a location. It normally takes half an hour to an hour max, but it all depends on the local contractors, but we're always there to help as well. The technicians are ready to do the final hookups of the actual plumbing and electricity, and you have a containerized plant in a permanent location in a couple of hours. Now, here's a close-up of us actually going inside the actual unit. Here's the filtration. You've got the water pumps. We've got a UV system that's behind here that you can't see. The first membranes for the RO, the second to make it drinking quality. And again, we have the external filtration as well. So we love showing this. We love showing, this is our operational panel. This is electricity's coming in and out. And then we normally also have an ozonator as well to make it basically like a nice crisp tasting flavor as well. Now we do have emergency trailers. We do prefer sea containers. Again, ISO standard sea containers, 20 or 40 foot. You can do up to a 55-foot sea container, but those are sometimes tough to ship around the smaller isolated areas. It also makes it heavier if we're trying to put too much in there. So we always prefer the standard sea containers because all of our contractors, plumbers, electricians know how to use that. There is the availability for a trailer option, but this is only for emergency where you can use any water source. But again, especially being an island nation, we prefer sea containers. So this is a 250 meter per day unit. So if you're wanting to see what a 500 meter per cubic meter per day unit, it's basically double this. But we have many different variations to meet your actual needs. So the seawater desalination, this is for a 20,000 gallon per day system. That's the one you actually saw before. That was installed at the actual island resort. And again, we use the best systems, Dow Film Tech. We use Graham-Faust pumps. We use Navy compressors. Why? The Navy, the U.S. Navy doesn't want their compressors breaking down. They're up in the middle of the ocean or in a combat type area. So nothing's better than using well-tested equipment, and we're not exclusive to one, so we can use the best that's needed for each situation. Now, here's a great chart that we love using, and we're going to come back to this a lot when you have certain questions for us. We always prefer the best quality water you can get access to, and seawater is fine as well, or fresh water. If it's fresh water, it's a lot cheaper than membraned reverse osmosis, but also depends how contaminated the water is. So we need a water sample. But for the average system, we can do 100,000 gallons per day. We'll switch over to gallons here rather than cubic meters. And this is for bulk utility grade water, for construction, for resorts, for potable water. If you're wanting to get drinking water, it would reduce the maximum size we can do in a 40-foot sea container down to 50,000 gallons per day with a second pass, but this makes it bottled grade water. This is great for retailing, micro bottling, utility, and premium water. So that's where we do basically a 40-foot sea container for bulk water, a 40-foot sea container for drinking water. These would be separate units, which are the maximum capacities that we can do. If you're wanting 200,000 gallons per day of drinking water, it'd be 4 units. If you're wanting 500,000 gallons per day of bulk water, it would be 5 units. So we try to make it as simple as possible. Now, if you're going to speak or you want us to quote something on a wastewater treatment, removal of heavy metals, we've got that with excellent partnership with Current Water Technologies and their partners with the Saudi brothers, where we can help out with gray water, mining sites, resorts, for wastewater, agricultural, byproduct, and also gas and oil sites. All systems are powered with 3-phase electricity. We can do this with gas or diesel generator, which we always prefer as a backup at least, but we hook up to the grid of 3-phase power. And that's again where we use the local contractor, local plumber, electrician, because no one knows the Bahamas better than Bahamians. And these are all interchangeable as well and available upon request. And we can get into those details speaking to your engineers or your project managers. So the initial questions we always ask, and you'll always see us coming back to that through our partners, is where's the water coming from? Ocean, sea, fresh water bed. What's the amount of water you need a day? As we showed in the previous example, 100,000 gallons of bulk water, 50,000 or 25,000 gallons of drinking water. What's the cost of electricity? Because the main cost, a capital cost, is the unit. After that is the actual cost of electricity. And how do you want your water? We want it bulk, bottled, bagged into your system, or gray water for farming and agricultural. So we'll always go back to those questions. The additional steps is working through our actual partner who showed you this video. You send us a water sample, or you explain your issue and concerns. We have heavy metals or seawater. We're trying to build a resort. We have a stranded remote location that needs some utility water. We love problem situations and problem financing. That's what we excel at. So how do you want your water? Bulk water, drinking water, or wastewater? And you can decide to purchase, finance, lease to own through a joint venture, or one of our specialties that we're happy to do here, especially in the Bahamas, is a private-public partnership. So the timeline, we eliminate delays and budget overruns, but it's about 90 to 120 days to build, 30 days to ship and install. And that's pretty standard right across the world. So thank you. We look forward, and let's do your project by working together. Locally, it's going to be great jobs and a great availability for people to have crystal clean drinking water. And you get to enjoy fresh water with a peace of mind. And this is done through all of our partners of Current Water Technologies, Economic Development Canada, Lloyd's of London, the Government of Canada, Complete Water Systems, and even the Saudi brothers if needed. So thank you for your time. We know it's valuable, and we look forward to your questions and doing a project with you.